And welcome back to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. Welcome back, Gage Sheets, to the channel, and Nash Talks Texas. He's up there somewhere. I'm sure he'll be back momentarily. You never know with Nash. Gage, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. That was a pretty awesome weekend.
Good weekend, fun weekend, action-packed weekend, news-packed weekend. Nash, I'm sure you're on cloud nine. How you doing over there, bro?
I'm fantastic, man. You know, I got my hammer a fireball down mid show. Never know. It's celebratory weekend this weekend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's all around a pretty damn good weekend. We'll just recap everything, in which we'll talk about most of this. But you have the first seeded Texas women's team winning last night by 44 points over to the two-man team, William and Mary. Kind of unfair there that it's 2-on-5, but sports for sports, I guess. Baseball obviously wins 2 out of 3 against number 2 LSU. Games looked like they were a lot of fun, envious of the people that were there. Nash, Texas. Basketball was most of the reason we're here. We have a new basketball coach. We're going to get into is Sean Miller good? What does Sean Miller at Texas look like? What has Sean Miller done in his past? We'll get to all of that here momentarily. Sunday night fireball shot. Yeah, it is. That is pretty demented. You got to call it what it is, but you got to appreciate Nash's commitment there. So first things first. All right, we're here. We're going to talk Sean Miller to Texas. Guests are always first. All right. And so we're going to start with Gage. But Gage and I have talked a lot over the last few days, I think really in the last few weeks, because we thought it was inevitable that Rodney Terry would be replaced. And again, thank you to Rodney Terry for what he's done for Texas. Great man. Now, as far as a head coach at the NCAA D1 level and in the SEC, not up to par. Okay. He's not that type of a head coach, and that doesn't mean that we think any less of him. Man, just didn't get it done at Texas. Wish him the best down the line. Hope he succeeds wherever he's going. Just didn't work out here. And so, with that being said, Gage, I want your thoughts on Sean Miller to Texas. I know you had a couple of other candidates. You're welcome to mention them. That if you'd like to, that you might have preferred. And that doesn't mean you're not excited about the hire, but I'll let you talk to the people about how you feel and why you feel that way.
Yeah, I think he's obviously a level above Rodney Terry. So, like we said, we love Rodney, and I don't want to throw any shade towards him, but he's not Sean Miller. Like Sean Miller has a resume. He's a good coach. Obviously, all the stuff that happened at Arizona, and then moving back to Xavier. But he's a good coach. He's had success. He's had tournament success, not the ultimate prize success, but he's had success. I had other people in mind. I think we kind of talked about it on the show earlier in the week, where Sean Miller was on our radar, but he was probably like maybe one of the lesser ones. I do think, in my opinion, and I don't have no proof to back this up, it probably had a lot to do with buyout money. I think I don't want to say that Texas doesn't have the buyout money, but you're talking some of these guys that we were personally looking at, like Grant McCaslin was mine. He's $8.4 million buyout. And 12 million for Tommy Lloyd was another name that was being looked at. I think his was like a close to $12 million buyout. So I think that money did maybe come and play a little bit. It was probably a little bit cheaper to go get Sean Miller, but that's not saying when it comes to Texas basketball and what Texas is in basketball, Sean Miller's a great hire. This isn't a bad hire. Like, I don't want anybody to think that this is wrong. He's a good hire for Texas basketball, and I think he's going to have success here. Do I think we're going to win a national championship with Sean Miller? I don't know. It would take a lot for us to win a national championship with any coach. But Sean Miller he's a step above Rodney Terry. Like, we're going to be able to see in-game basketball coaching improvements immediately. and you're going to notice it next year. So I think people can be excited with that. Obviously, I've heard rumors already that NIL is going to be bumped up, which is kind of another thing we talked about. When you get a head coach that people are willing to say like, "Hey, that guy can raise us another level," people are going to pay more. I think that the community has rallied kind of around the Sean Miller move, and I think that they kind of like the Sean Miller move. So I think NIL is going to come in. I think we're going to have more money into NIL and basketball than we have before. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be good. I don't think Sean Miller is a bad hire. I think we both agreed that it was a good hire, even but it maybe not have been our number one choice, but that's not always the way it works. And at the end of the day, Chris Del Conte gets the benefit of all of our doubts. I think he's pretty much nailed everybody that he's brought onto campus. So he obviously had his mind on Sean Miller. So Isaiah Sutcliffe said he hasn't signed anything yet. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think he already has signed something from what I've heard, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he almost came to Texas before Rodney Terry was officially made the head coach.
Yeah.
And he's turned Texas down at one point. Now, I'm not saying that anything has or hasn't been signed because I honestly haven't paid any attention. I don't think Texas would let it get this far if there's a chance that he walked it back. Now, again, I haven't seen or heard anything that says he has officially signed a contract. NIL, that's another thing that people thought, was kind of handicapping Rodney Terry.
Yeah.
It seems, pretty quickly that they are a little bit more behind the idea of Sean Miller. And this is quite obvious, like Texas and Sean Miller have been, back channeling for a while now. I would say it's been multiple weeks, if not up to a month or 6 weeks. And so, as of 10 p.m., he's saying this. Well, thanks for being here. First off, we're not disparaging any of your comments or anything you have to say here. So thanks for sharing your opinion. So he's saying as of 10 p.m., their time over there, he is still the head coach of Xavier University. And this is tough, man, because like I grew up watching Rick Barnes, obviously like do really good things at Texas, and Sean Miller was at Xavier, his first at Xavier before he went to Arizona.
Yeah.
And I want to say that we might have played him while he was there at some point, but I know we played him while he was at Arizona. And then obviously 2 of the last, 3 seasons while he was at Xavier. I thought, and I told you this, and Nash, I'm not leaving you out up there. I know that we'll get to you and what you.
Asking me for basketball questions isn't going to really be much productive. So
Texas baseball fans will be very interested to hear from Nash shortly. He'll have a lot to talk about as he was there present at the Dish for all 3 games versus LSU. But in the meantime, so Sean Miller, I thought, and I've said to multiple people, I'm not like shy or hiding away from it. I thought he was the floor, and that if you're getting a Sean Miller, people want to rag on Sean Miller for, he had not a great team last year, Xavier, and this year a borderline tournament team. Obviously, they beat Texas. It's a new era, different times for Xavier basketball. I hope it works out and that they can maintain their tradition of being pretty damn good from Thad Matta to then Sean Miller, and I'm trying to think of the different coaches that they've had, but I like Xavier basketball a lot. I'm just saying it's a different era for them. It might not be as easy. No team is sitting there and it's going to be, Duke has had times where they're a Final Four contender every year, and then there's times where, Sweet 16 might be the ceiling. It happens to everyone. But my point is I'm not taking anything from the last 2 seasons with Sean Miller and Xavier. I think Sean Miller is a damn good coach. Stylistically, he is going to bring a brand of basketball that's a lot of fun to watch at the Moody Center. Points are going to be scored. There's going to be 3-pointers galore. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. And assistant under Thad. There you go. Thanks for the help, brother.
Yeah.
So, Thad Matta and Sean Miller was a hell of a coaching staff there for Xavier back in the day. And so, I've completely forgotten about Thad Matta and then going to Ohio State. But so, congrats on your win over Texas. I was really, really hoping the Xavier would get it done there in the second round, to be honest. But so if Sean Miller, assuming he does sign and will sign, we're going to score some points. Now, games are going to be a little more high scoring. We might not have as clean a defense. It's going to be a very attractive offense for big time guards. And that's not to say that, look what we have right now with Trey Johnson. It's not to say that we can't attract a big time guard. We've had numerous, point guards that have been lethal in the last 2 decades. Like, we're going to be able to attract really, really good players. I think that you look at the Arizona stint and we're talking about, hey, let's call it what it is. he got busted for illegally trying to pay players or paying players.
Yeah.
This is the NIL era. This is Texas. That's not going to be an issue. Sean Miller is going to be able to recruit. Okay, now can he get some bigs that can score, turn their back to the basket, and do that? You know, you look through time, and he's put a lot of players in the NBA. I want to say 26 over the last 18 years or something like that. But that's one spot, you know, that he's going to need to recruit at Texas. If Texas is going to get to where me and maybe Gage expect Texas basketball to get to, I know it's people's expectations for Texas basketball are absolutely all over the place. Can he coach defense? Yeah. I tell you what, man, it's going to be run and gun. There's going to be a lot of quick possessions. It's not going to be, I think, the first thing that jumps out when you look at Texas basketball in the next few years. But again, you know, he's going to be good at recruiting guards. Maybe he finds a guy like a Chaz Lanier, who's an absolute monster on both ends of the floor.
Yeah.
Tennessee's got such a dang good basketball team. And so, yeah, if you find some two-way players, absolutely. But now this year, Trey Johnson, defense not really a strong point for him. If he's an assistant for multiple years, he's going to look a lot different. He just needs to get a little bit of weight, get used to the game. Obviously, he can score with anybody, but so that remains to be seen. Can he coach defense? And in the SEC, there's a lot of dang good guards and a lot of offensive coaches that are really, really good at putting up points and in a hurry. And so, let me ask you, Gage, what was your excitement level when you heard it was finalized? I know we were talking a little bit. You know, did you were you down because it was Sean Miller? Did you trust in CDC here and you're like, hey, whatever happens, it happens, and we're going to roll with it?
I know we were kind of talking about this. I mean, obviously it was years ago, but it almost felt similar to the Sarkisian hire. Like, yes, like there's positives going into it, but it's like, okay, we're not getting a high level, won a national championship head coach type of guy that kind of we feel like can be there. And Sean Miller's been around for a long time, and as people have said, the Chads never got the job done. And so I kind of feel like the skepticism of that, but I trust Chris Del Conte. I feel like he had a good vibe going on with Sean Miller, obviously from the previous time. I feel like he probably wanted to hire him and kind of got locked into a corner a little bit with the Rodney Terry Elite Eight run. So I don't think this is something that's like off the whim Sean Miller. Like, this has been something that CDC's been looking forward to for a while now. Like, hey, if I get another chance at this guy, I'm going to do it. And that, to me, makes me feel more comfortable within the hire.
I agree with you. And I know that, like, multiple names were thrown out, and you and I talked about several names, and all the Twitter group chats and all that. We were talking about different names. It seems like, Sean Miller was always his guy, and maybe he entertained a few other names, and maybe it didn't work because of buyout. But if Chris Del Conte has felt good about a coach and hired them at Texas,
yeah,
that coach has done pretty damn well. And so, you got to trust him in this spot. And you brought up Steve Sarkisian. So I just want to mention, you go to Sean Miller's first year at Xavier way back in 04, 05, 17 and 12 years, first year at Arizona in 2009, 2010, 16 and 15.
Yeah.
And then his first year back at Xavier in his second stint there, he had a 27 and 10 year that was ended by Rodney Terry and the Texas basketball team in the Sweet 16. So what to expect here in year one? I mean, honestly, nobody really knows because we're going to have a lot of overturn with this roster. There's going to be a lot of new pieces. Transfer portal window opens up tomorrow, so it's going to be like a very quick process here as far as filling out the roster for next season. Nash, what do you have for basketball, brother?
So I just wanted to go to point out something that Gage kind of talked about earlier. This isn't like a football hire or a baseball hire at Texas. And I kind of disagree a little bit. I think Steve Sarkisian was a little bit more sought after as a head coach because not only did he have success at Washington and then moved to USC, the issues with Steve Sarkisian were not on the football field at all. So as long as all those things are off the football field taken care of, you got a coach that literally has pedigree tied back to some of the best offenses back to at BYU with Lavelle Edwards, right? He then goes learns from Pete Carroll, and then he also learns from Nick the amount of like experience that he's gathered as a coach, and he's always, if you like people that know football, when they talk about Steve Sarkisian, they just like there's so much respect that goes towards that guy. So I think I think it's a little bit different than football, but this basketball team, man, like when we say we're Texas, it doesn't mean the same thing in basketball. We haven't
But why can't it, Nash? Why
have
can't
we
it?
ever
mean-
have like this is an actual like serious question. Have we ever
Yeah.
been to a national championship game? Like
No.
not
No.
one. Have we been to one? So I mean,
No.
at this point, I don't know how we could like. I don't know if we can really get upset that it's a B level hire or whatever. I'm not gonna sit
Yeah.
here and try and grade the hire because I'm not that type of guy. My only one question to y'all would be, I know that this is kind of like a fan favorite type guy, and maybe it goes down like a similar path as Rodney Terry. But what do y'all think about Royal Ivy?
I don't think he was necessarily would have been the right guy for this
I'm not.
exact-
I'm just yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just so like, what are your thoughts on him?
I love Royal Ivy.
Yeah.
Watching him while I'm a teenager, man, and so basketball was every single tournament run was life or death. It was absolute gonna make or break. We were gonna cry every single year back then. And watching Royale, and it wasn't just him; it was a team he was on. They was just back. I mean, you didn't have guys that were 1 or 2 and done back then. Guys stayed, and Royale Ivy, James Thomas, Brandon Mouton, Brian Bott, all those guys that we've talked about. I love Royale. And so like to me, it feels like his heart, and that's not to say he's not giving maximum effort into everything else he does, but I just feel like he would pour absolutely every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears into the program. But I don't know if he's ready. And it's hard to know if he's ready until he gets that chance elsewhere. And maybe he uses that as a springboard into the Texas job. But it's such a big risk to take if you're wrong on Royale because we've already been set back. And again, that's no knock on Rodney Terry. Okay. And Landon, I gotta address you, man. Is there any in chat? I need y'all's help on this too. Is there any portion of y'all that feels even the slightest bit bad for Texas A&M right now regarding the fact that, everything is just kind of in the shitter for them except for, the softball program? And that's not to be mean. Like I'm married to an Aggie, ton of Aggie friends. There's the smallest part of me that's like, dang, 0-6 in conference. It's not to say that I want them to win their next series, but right now I'm just kind of like, dang, buddy is struggling. So Landon, I feel for you. I'm glad Rory won the Players. I'm sorry that you're stuck with Buzz Williams. It doesn't seem like Buzz really wants to be in College Station that much, but you do have Pharrell Payne coming back, and that's a huge, huge weapon to have. But yeah, either of you feel bad whatsoever?
No, not at all. Because, and I'll tell you exactly why. Right? I used to be one of these guys that would cheer for Tech because I have Aggie family. Like literally half my family's Aggies. So as long as they weren't playing Texas, I'm like, yeah, we're cool. Right? I'll shoot. I'll hope for the Aggies win, right? Because you're a Texas school at the end of the day, right? All I had gotten after we had left is just this fake, this false bravado from A&M fans, right? My own family too, just constantly. Like, I mean, they love to just rub our head and all that shit over the last like from 2016. Speaking of Steve Sarkisian, I literally had an Aggie friend that he would constantly like I just knew him from school. Wasn't really too good of a friend, but he would just constantly like message me on Instagram like about, oh, Jimbo Fisher's going to be doing so much better than Steve Sarkisian and all that stuff. And
You talking about Landon?
I've thought about, huh?
You talking about Landon?
No. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay. I was gonna laugh.
No, but he would just constantly go after like talk about things and like bring things up. It's just these people. Aggies are really, they're not self-aware, right? they act like they acted like they had the high ground over Texas, and they kind of did just being in the SEC. But now that we're playing again, right? It's just how they went about their business after while we were separated. No, I will never once rest.
More than fair, because I was going to say, I go back and I think, how did they talk to us? How did they treat us from the years 2010 to 2022? Every
Respect
time
is
Texas
earned, not given.
Yeah, there you go.
I live close to College Station. I've got a lot of friends that are Aggies. I've got family that are Aggies. When it comes to respecting like or trying to be. I don't know. I don't feel bad. I can tell you that. Um, Here's the thing that I've been trying, like thinking about, and I can't believe I haven't said this like out loud before. But here's the thing with A&M. They a lot of Aggies tend to feel like they have like a moral high ground when it comes to athletics. And they talk about karma and how Texas should be feeling karma right now because of all the bad things that Texas has done. Well, here's the thing about karma. If you believe in it, then it's not looking pretty good for you right now. So maybe y'all should look in the mirror and start reflecting from that versus consistently looking on the outside. Um, I think that the rivalry is better when A&M is at least decent. But no, I don't feel bad. They drug us through the mud for 12 years while we were down, and now that Texas is back to being kind of where Texas was before that, they're feeling they're in their
Hirsch.
down years. They're feeling it bad too.
Yeah, I'm with
Yeah,
you,
it is.
man. It's to a point where, I mean, every time any result comes out, it's just like negative for them at the moment. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, football
If you believe in
decommits in the
karma, I mean,
spring. Football decommits in the spring. Basketball team lost what 6 of their last 8 games. 6 of their last 9 games. And again, I'm not knocking. It was just a question: do these guys feel bad? Do people in the chat feel bad? Landon's going through it. I understand why Landon's going through it. This is pretty great comment here. The father-in-law, and it's the same here. My father-in-law is the same exact way. He, it's pretty much just a screw it at this point. Find
Well,
something else to
they're
do.
back to where they used to be, right? Like this is where Aggies were before we left the SEC, before they left and went to the SEC, right? This is where they were. In my 2000, like the late 2000s, is like that's peak Longhorn fandom for me, memory. I just remember always going to Thanksgiving, and they would always, they like my Aggie family, they'd be talking their crap, like saying, "Oh, we're gonna win finally this year. Right? This year's finally gonna be the year that we win." And then I remember like there was one year that they actually did win. I'm like, you know what? Good for you, man. Good for you. I'm actually happy for you. You find like y'all finally get to experience how my Thanksgivings have been, right?
yeah,
My Thanksgiving, I always get to eat my food, get a good, nice, full belly, and then I get to watch the Longhorns just absolutely demolish your team. And I don't know, but again, after all the crap that they ever shot our way, if there was one thing that could, like to what Gage just said, think about the karma thing because maybe just maybe, us getting y'all's coach that was the next thing since sliced bread. Maybe that was a little bit of karma.
yeah.
Well,
They'll be all right.
I
They got money.
don't know.
They'll figure it out.
They're gonna be. That's the thing is they'll be fine. They're gonna pay and find coaches until they get it right. They install the right coaches. They're gonna prioritize football and baseball again because they've seen how quickly they can be relevant in baseball. I mean, it is not to knock their ex head coach before Schlossnagel, but like. I mean, Schloss had them on the brink of a championship in a really short amount of
Yeah.
time. It's what I think 2 World Series and
I
3
also don't think
seasons.
you're just not gonna be able to find just another Jim Schlossnagle laying around out there. So
No.
the baseball success is gonna come a lot slower. And this might also work against the Aggies because they've kind of gotten used to Jim Schlossnagle, right? Like I mean, Texas fans, we look at how fast he's turned around the Texas team. This might actually work against them because they're going to be a little bit and to the point with Michael Early. Michael Early is probably not a bad coach. Their team is just going through a rough stretch right now, and this happens in baseball. Baseball is a hard sport to play, right? Sometimes
pitching
you can't
pitching was
ball.
fine. Pitching's fine.
Their
It's just
pitching is
baseball.
they're number like 6th in the nation in team ERA. They have 3 of the best starters that you can put out there. It's just they're not hitting the ball well. And anybody that knows baseball knows hitting is very streaky, right? So this thing could absolutely just take off out of nowhere, and they could start playing like one of the best teams in America, and everybody like, where did this team go? Right? Where was this team?
For just I don't want to give him hope, but there was a team that went in pretty highly ranked just a few years ago, and they struggled out of the bat because they weren't scoring runs, and they got hot. They got what was it, a 3 seed in a regional, and they made a run and won a College World Series, and that was Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, yeah.
So, it's not totally over. That they're in trouble. They're in deep water because they got to start sweeping people, and nobody in the SEC is easy to sweep. They're in deep water this year, but I can tell you that like it can't be over. You've got too much talent on that baseball team. Like if you're giving up just to give up, like there's a chance still. I mean, I don't know what that Ole Miss record was. They were like 36-24 or something, and they got into the tournament and ended up winning the whole thing. And they had the talent from the beginning. We knew that they had the talent from the beginning to win that year, and they just couldn't score. And if you can't score runs in the SEC, best of luck to you because everybody can score runs in the SEC.
Well,
Yes.
that like baseball is like the epitome of you just got to get hot at the right time.
Yeah.
It does like you as long as you're in the field of 64. If your team gets hot, hello Natty, it's coming.
Yeah. I saw a funny picture. I gotta send you. It's pretty funny. I gotta send.
Is it of Schlossnagel?
No. It's just I'll say it's just a hat. It says good on it. And then there's a hat that's a burnt orange one and it says better. I don't know. If y'all seen that.
Bitter.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, you gotta love that. That's the good stuff. We gotta appreciate a rivalry.
There's more hatred now than there was before.
There is like, and like this is.
I was actually all-time high.
I was talking with the guy that sits next to me at the dish, and he was saying like his kids, they're teenagers, and he's like my kids, they don't know that we're supposed to hate hate them. Like it's like us with Arkansas, right?
Yeah,
we hadn't really just because the teams we didn't play them in after the 90s.
Yeah,
like the people that grew up in the 2000s and 2010s, Arkansas is just like, yeah, I know my grandpa hates that team, right? But my dad hates that team, but I don't know why.
I'll say this, my
kids, they're quickly going to learn. Like kids are quickly going to learn that. Yeah, you are.
My kids living around here, they see a lot of maroon, and they're like, they do not like Texas A&M. They're very quickly learning. They see a lot of maroon, and they're like, nah, we don't like that.
You're raising your kids right.
Yeah, I love that. You gotta install it from an early age, or instill it rather.
There's a lot of outside pressure over here, Yeah, build them up.
We'll get to Texas and LSU baseball in just a moment. Back to Sean Miller, the new head coach of the University of Texas, who apparently hasn't signed a contract yet, according to one commenter here on our YouTube channel. But no, we feel good about Sean being the coach. Real quick, just for any backstory, it has been a little while, but Sean does have two very deep tournament runs. During his time with Arizona, he had back-to-back Elite Eight runs, which he lost twice to Wisconsin, once in overtime and another at the buzzer, essentially. And so when you talk about expectations, you talk about the conference and the SEC being what it is. I don't know if the SEC has been exposed. I will say it kind of looks clear cut that the Big Ten might have been the better conference this year in particular. But I think that, there's no reason Texas can't, with Sean Miller, and have expectations of being a second round tournament team. I mean, I'd say 50% of the time to 75% of the time, or not 75. That might be asking a bit much, but when you look at his ability to get deep in the tournament and some of the runs he's been on, he ran into a really hot Texas team in the Sweet 16 and Xavier. Didn't really have a chance. Couldn't make the Final Four. I get it. You got to break through. You look at Rick Barnes, a guy who's made one Final Four, struggled a lot. That's the kind of the same run when you talk about Sean Miller. He had 70% of through a decade, 70% of the years. So 7 out of 10 there. He was making that second weekend. But again, no Final Four appearances. The SEC did come out of nowhere. I was thinking about it a couple of days ago, and how the SEC very quickly kind of overtook the ACC. The ACC was, the kingpin of college basketball for several years there after the Big East kind of broke up. I miss the old Big East. I miss a lot of it. But so Sean Miller, I mean, he's got some good runs. He absolutely does. Very consistent. You know what you're going to get offensively. A lot of jump shots, a lot of high flying up and down the court. Again, for the Moody Center, I think that's great. That's what students are going to want to see. That's what they're going to be invested in, or what they get excited and what causes them to be invested in the program. And so, I mean, it very well could have been a friend. I mean, there was a lot of SEC teams, a lot of experience, a lot of teams that had their cores back. You look at Tennessee and all the upperclassmen they have on that team that are chasing the title. Same for Bama. Yeah, I mean, it's also a conference that has an insane amount of really damn good basketball coaches, and I'm happy to say Sean Miller is probably right up there with a lot of those guys. But yeah, I mean, Final Fours, like Nash, what you talk about? I mean, we've never played in a college basketball national championship game, so when we're laughing at Sean Miller for never making a Final Four, it's like, okay, like that's kind of silly. If
Do
he's
we even
making,
deserve it? Like,
right,
like
well, yeah.
do we have the like? Do we like? Here's the real question: is Texas a school that is attractive for a coach and says, "Hey, I want to go to this. I'm going to leave the school that I'm at that might have more pedigree than Texas does in basketball for Texas just because of the name Texas." Like, I mean, we think of the name Texas, and that's mainly football and baseball.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like arrogant, or that's not the case. But yeah, coaches did want to come to Texas. I think there were a couple coaches that did want to come, and
I
think there was a money thing. I think there was a lot of other things that were in play with that. But I think like straight up, there were big time coaches that wanted to come to Austin and coach Texas. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's
we went with a B-level hire, and if we could have had a better hire, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But
I'll call it a B plus. I can't go all the way down to like a B. I mean, this.
Well, I mean, I have no idea. Like, I'm just
okay.
I'm just going off the general consensus
the vibe.
Seeing, but at the same time, I'm just saying, like, let's just go off numbers. Like, say if you can have a 95 grade hire, why are you hiring an 80, 85, 80 grade?
Yeah, I think if you take Sean Miller's years at Arizona and just like just Arizona and just put him in Arizona, and you said this is what you're going to get out of Sean Miller at the University of Texas, I think a lot of people would be pretty happy with that, because I don't think we've had runs like that other than, we had a few years with Rick Barnes, runs like he had with Arizona, or in some of the years in Xavier too. So it's like, yeah, when it comes to if he can come to Texas and replicate that, and then also have a little bit more NIL and a little bit more support, like I don't see why he couldn't push even further to maybe a Final Four run. Like I think we were talking like maybe one in the next decade would be, wouldn't say reasonable, but that would be great for Texas basketball.
I can back up Gage on that. There are at least two coaches still coaching in the NCAA tournament that would have taken a Texas job.
Yeah,
both coaches have buyout situations that are pretty strong, and I know that money shouldn't be an option at the University of Texas in most people's minds, but unfortunately, it is when you're talking about the commitment to the program that maybe falls considerably behind football and baseball at the moment.
Yeah.
And so once Texas basketball proves maybe what me, Gage, and some others think it can be and turns into that, then that backing, revs up a little bit, and we're able down the line to make the type of hire that's really, really splashy. And for me, I'm going to go back to the very beginning. If you missed it, I said Sean Miller was the floor. I was told that he would take this job, but that they were going to reach out to some bigger candidates.
Yeah.
What Gage and I were just saying, there's coaches coaching right now that would have taken the job. And so to me, I think there's a higher reputation for Texas's basketball job than there was a decade ago. Yeah. I mean, obviously Sean Miller just took this job and he didn't take it, 2.5 seasons ago. So I'm not disagreeing with what Nash said at all whatsoever. I just think financially, and then you look about, you talk about what Sean Miller has done as a coach, it's just a healthy combination. Obviously CDC likes him a lot. And so
yeah, CDC loves him.
And if Brad Underwood said no, he did great things with Stephen F. Austin. That is a coach I have a ton of respect for. And if CDC went after Brad Underwood, I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever. That being reported right here by Mr. Josh E. Manning. I can't remember. I think Kirk Bowles might have been the one to originally report that. So
yeah,
I don't know of any ties between Chris Del Conte and Sean Miller. If you go look at their histories, there's nothing that aligns from what I can remember. And so, you never know what type of relationship they have outside of their, respective universities and what they do for them. But it's not the first time, he's tried to court Sean Miller, and this time he came through. And I think, it's a significant upgrade. I saw people that compared it. And again, this isn't a knock on Rodney Terry, but people that compared it to Rodney Terry and said that we got worse coaching wise.
No chance.
They're just very, very bitter people that don't know anything about what they're, basketball or Sean Miller or Xavier basketball, Arizona basketball. And that's all good. You
Yeah.
didn't say that, Nash. Not
I
intentionally.
didn't, but I mean, you're basically describing me. Like,
There
Oh
were
no.
You can-
You're
you
not
can
on
point-
Twitter. You're not on Twitter screaming at me that we downgraded. That's
no. But I'm saying that just the general fan that you described in basketball is
Oh, okay.
There were
Oh.
times this
no
year where it
knowledge. But, I
was
mean, I know there's a 3-point line. And if you shoot behind it,
You get
ball
3
goes in
points.
basket, you get
Yeah.
3 points. And then if they touch you while you're doing that, you can flop, kind of like soccer, get 4 points.
Yeah, that's possible. It is possible.
I think if
but
you
yeah, I
step
mean,
back and watch this full season, just this year, and watch this Texas basketball team, and then you go back again and say that we're downgrading Rodney Terry to a lot of people, I would still be confused by that statement. I think, like I said, I really like Rodney Terry, but I think that he was a bottom tier coach in the SEC, and I don't think Sean Miller is that.
no, I think he's definitely in the top half. And I mean, when you go through and look at, that there's some really good coaches in the SEC, and so I mean, even to being in the top half, I think is a pretty good compliment to Sean. And again, and this era of basketball where Sean got in trouble, was for illegal recruiting, and this is the NIL era. So he is essentially clean as a whistle in my book.
Yeah.
There was no pass, there was no discretions, there was no FBI wiretap. None of that happened, and it's time. Again, this is a man that's put in almost over 2 dozen NBA players in his coaching tenure. Yeah, I mean,
Also, screw the NCAA. Who gives a shit if he paid a player, right? Oh my God, a coach paid a player. No, wow, this is like, I mean, oh my God, we're like I remember, like, this is the funniest thing. People are acting like, hey, our school doesn't pay football players. No, that never happened. This is.
I hope
That
my
wasn't
school
a
pays
Rodney
football
Terry.
players more than you. That's what
Yeah.
that's how I feel
what
about it.
This is where
I hope we
should
go
be.
in there and pay him 3 times what you do, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm fully into it. And the thing was, I would have been that way before NIL. When A&M signed the number 1 class for whatever they spent on that class, and come on, Texas A&M, the number 1 recruiting class of all time under Jimbo Fisher, off of one, Orange Bowl win. Come on, man. Like, if I was an Aggie, I would have been boosting. Yeah, we went out there and money whipped everybody. We took kids out of South Florida that we never had a prayer for, but we whipped them. We took all your recruits. Did it work out? No, it didn't. But I would still been bragging like a mother on that one. Joshy Manning, great point here. Texas was such a bad matchup for the Xavier in that Sweet 16.
Yeah.
And for you that remember that game, Texas came out there and were throwing darts. We made everything in that first half.
We were so hot.
Yeah, we snowballed Xavier. The Musketeers had no shot. Marcus Carr, again, certified dog. Dylan Dusu. That was Dylan Dusu, the game where Dusu came out. I mean, I want to say he made like his first 8 or 9 attempts from the floor. I think that was the Dusu game.
That game, yeah.
Yeah, we were lights out. So it's not on. That's the game where coaching wouldn't have mattered. I can tell you that much.
If you take those results, though, I will point this out. If you take that result of that game and switch it, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. We would have already had it, in my opinion. I think that win, kind of like, I think CDC, that win, straight up head to head in that game, kind of like put CDC in a spot. It's like, well, I can't let the guy go in this game.
To play devil's advocate, though, Texas whipped Sean Miller and sends the Xavier Musketeers packing. Again, for those listening, this was a couple years ago. And Sean Miller, his eyes are opened to the type of portal player that can be recruited to the University of Texas and the money that can be spent on a player. Because this was still Beard. There was still some money.
Beard statement.
Hey, I have a question. Did y'all see that? Y'all see that photo of Sean
Drink
Miller?
up, Eddie.
He was dapping up Trey Johnson.
Yeah.
in the middle of the game. Like,
he knew his comments about Kendall Weaver before the game.
That's when everybody should have been like, "Oh yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy." When he's dapping up a Texas player.
But then again,
Trey's not coming back. But I mean,
well, if we give him $11 billion, engage his house,
if we give Trey Johnson the money that we would have given to a buyout.
There you go.
Yeah,
maybe that's the big plan. We're just going to give Trey 13 to come back and
we'll
run
go
it.
One more year.
The real thing that Texas basketball is lacking is we need Eddie We need Eddie to be the Amir Khan of Texas basketball. We need the ball guy, the manager, the towel guy, whatever the hell Eddie wants to be. We got to let Eddie. He just needs a chain and a boombox, a couple Gatorade bottles, towels. Eddie's got it. That's what Texas basketball needs. So
I can see Eddie just rolling out with like the cheapest little, like small little stereo right there, like just basically mocking the whole Amir Khan thing.
I will say this, Jonathan. I get it. Like, the firing of Rick Barnes.
Look at who it is.
Oh, Lord. I can't see that comment. Thank God. Rick Barnes, it just felt stale. Like, I'm a big Rick Barnes fan, but it just felt stale. And he was hiring some pretty dang elite talent and then sitting them on the bench while we were getting whipped in the first round of the NCAA tournament. But
who was the athletic director? Rick Barnes got fired.
Yeah, true. Also fair. This is the thing that I needed to make. Hold on real quick, Nash. Mr. Conwell from Xavier. That's their leading scorer, average over 16 a game. We need that man to transfer. He's got 1 year. He's a junior. Oh God, Eddie, not Amir Khan. Not the hate and slander for Amir Khan, the legend. Wow, he carried McNeese to a second round single-handedly, and he gets slandered on this channel. That is not the way I thought it would go. Envious is obvious.
I actually just kind of hope that he isn't one of those, like, he hasn't turned into just a complete douchebag. Because
who, Amir Khan?
Yeah, because
I hope not.
If look, there's two ways that you go about this, right? You're either just the coolest dude ever, and your face is on socks. You're just riding the wave. You're doing what you do. Then there's the other way that you're just like a complete asshole, and you lose sight that, hey, yeah, maybe more or less the basketball players on the court might have brought me my attention.
I heard that was the backbreaker for Will Wade to Texas.
I'm so glad that
he wanted to bring
not
Amir Khan with him.
Oh no!
He said no.
I think Eddie the guy. Was it you, Eddie, that wanted, or were you strictly against Will Wade? Sean Miller is much more accomplished than Will Wade. We need to get that out there. People act like Will Wade had one season at LSU. He was there for 5 years, I believe.
Yeah.
One second round or second weekend run there in the tournament. I'm not knocking Will Wade. I think he's a hell of a basketball coach, but some people acted like he was the absolute savior of Texas basketball and was a lock to get them national champion. Thank you, Eddie. This is my guy. It's not hate on Will Wade. I'll post Eddie's comment. I'm not saying it. It's not hate on Will Wade. It's just I think that Sean Miller is much more accomplished. I thought as a floor for this search, we were in a really good spot with Sean Miller there. And so,
also, I think you could go back to Friday. We talked about this exact Sean Miller Will Wade situation. I was like, I'd rather just have Sean Miller. You know what I'm saying? So
would y'all rather take Sean Miller or Rodney Terry, or not Rodney? Obviously, Rodney Terry, not. But Rick Barnes. Would y'all rather have Rick Barnes or Sean Miller? Because this is like that. That's where I'm really interesting. Because Steve Patterson, screw you, man. Yeah. I don't care if you watch this video. I hate you. I don't. Yeah, you've done nothing wrong to me except for ruin Texas athletics. So thank you.
Yeah, he was a mess, and he's put us in a hole that it took a long time to get out of, and a hell of an athletic director.
Bro, you couldn't pay. You had to pay like $15 for a water when he was here.
Eddie, yeah, no kidding. The stadium prices are so much better under Del Conte. Like things are affordable. It was like $15. Eddie, I don't know if you're serious here, but I told people throughout January and February that Chris Jans would be my guy. That would be the first guy that I take. So our connection only gets stronger if you're not trolling. If so, you're just going to be laughing at me. But anyways, I loved Chris Jans and what he's done so far. Sean Miller, it is Miller time officially. We're over 40 minutes into this. We got to talk a little baseball, but it is also late. So let's get to that. Thank you guys. Really active there in the basketball chat. Really appreciate all you guys. So let's roll it over with baseball. Eddie, if you leave, you are dead to me. That's all I'll say. Nash, the atmosphere at the Dish looked top notch. I mean, all 3 nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Obviously, there was a lot going on Friday. We got beat. Tigers a little bit louder towards the end of those games. Go ahead and break down the experience for you, and maybe kind of how. And I'm just strictly speaking atmosphere, brother. We'll talk about the games too, but talk to me about the atmosphere and maybe how it kind of differs from years past for Texas baseball, because it definitely seems to be revved up a little bit.
I'll say I don't know that it was that much different than years past, because I remember when we were a top 10 team, it was kind of a lot like really similar to this. I mean, anytime if you go back and you look, right? I mean, you could honestly probably search my Twitter and just say super regional atmosphere or regional atmosphere. And anytime LSU's been here, it's that level of atmosphere, right? Like, but it's just like I was talking with some LSU fans right as I was getting in my car and leaving. Man, heck of a team for them. But like the atmosphere that was out there, this was like a super regional game. Like these series, this was like a super regional series, and the winner goes to Omaha. That's what it felt like. I mean, it's just because it's such a massive like just winning 2 games versus a team like LSU for our later in the season goes on a long ways. But and we're strictly just talking atmosphere right now. Man, the fans, they did their job. They showed up. They were loud. I was so proud of the Texas fans for not selling tickets to the Purple people. Like there was a lot of people are going to say there was a lot of LSU fans. In my opinion, it was like probably 90-10, which is what it should be. And LSU is known for stadium takeovers, and they're known for doing this crap.
LSU can travel.
They couldn't even this is a situation where it was hard for them to get tickets, right? And not only travel, but they stay through the games. I mean, they started to kind of peter out a little bit in the 8th inning, maybe trying to get a little bit of early. But most of these people, they stayed the entire time. Great people. I mean, the amount of respect that goes between these 2 programs it's a really cool thing because like in football, we'd be talking crap all day long. It might escalate a little bit in some areas, but as far as baseball goes, just there's so much respect between these 2 programs and the fans. And I just occupy left field out there. Man, left field, that place was banging. That was a party out there all weekend long. Great food. Same for right field people and right to Omaha. I can't thank all these people enough for what they did for Texas this weekend. Like guys like Mark of Occupy Left Field, and then Randy Jackson right to Omaha, and then also CDC. CDC's going back to this. Like I mean, CDC took down. They had barricaded off the fence for Occupy Left Field, which was stupid.
Steve Patterson.
No, it wasn't Steve Patterson. I'm not going to say anything else.
No?
But
Okay.
So basically, barricaded off the fence, and it was like, look, these are season ticket holders. They're not trying to get a free load off by watching the game from the fence, right? That's not what they're trying to do. They're just trying to be able to watch the game around each other and have a party, and just have a good time at a Texas baseball game with each other, with their family, friends and family. And what this has turned into, you see constantly. If you were out there, I turned around, I saw Drew Stubbs out there, just like oh. That's Drew Stubbs right there, like touching my shoulder. Seeing all sorts of players' parents. I mean, it's such a cool family vibe atmosphere, and seeing LSU fans come in there, just being so gracious and all that stuff, man, it was amazing. I can't say enough about it.
Yeah, for sure, man. It looked like an absolute blast, and obviously I think the noise obviously it becomes an advantage, and Texas baseball, I'm not going to say it wasn't fun under David Pierce, but this just feels a little more electric, a little more lethal. And then you couple that, and this isn't fair to Pierce in this regard, but Schloss gets to come in, have a brand new, a lot of hype. He comes over from A&M, obviously took them to a World Series. Well, then you pull the big coup, you take Schlossnagle. Obviously that electrifies the fan base a little. Well, then you throw in the fact that you're not having 3-game series at home against Oklahoma State or Kansas State. It's LSU, and I can't remember who all comes to town. Georgia comes to town, I believe. Can't remember who all comes to town. But point is, go ahead, reel it off for me.
I can tell you right now, and I don't even have it's on the 2021 schedule just to prove y'all. So this is off the dome. Okay. We play Sam Houston in the middle week. I'm not going to tell you our middle week game, but we go to Missouri. Then we have Then we play Texas State in the middle of the week. That's a pretty big game. I think that one's at San Marcos. Then we got Georgia coming in here. Georgia's unless they
can
Real
hit.
deal.
unless they drop next week's series. I don't know who they played next week. This weekend where we play Missouri. Unless they drop, I mean, this is a top 5 matchup in the dish. I mean,
Right.
this is going to be like following the LSU game, which was an 8 and number 2 team. The atmosphere is just going to keep on going up and up. So after them, we go to Kentucky. Then we have Auburn coming into the dish, who's a top. Hey, guess what? That's a top 20 team. They'll probably be top 15 by the time they get to playing us. Then we go and we also play Texas A&M. Then we go to Arkansas. Then we play Florida. Then we go to Oklahoma. This is a murderer's row.
But a blast when it comes to being a baseball fan at the dish. Like, holy hell.
The good news is, out of all those like really killer teams, Arkansas is the only one that we got to go to on the road.
Yeah.
True. Good point.
So it's Missouri, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Oklahoma.
I don't know what we did, but I appreciate the scheduling and how it's all kind of just worked out for Texas here all around the board.
And to what you just said too, this is one of the funny things. Like Aggies, one of the biggest things is Aggies complain so much about how, the game is inside the dish. It's this is horrible because we had the last game inside the dish. Or technically, we had the game in regional. They're not counting the regional, but they're saying the last scheduled game was inside the dish. So we should have had it flip flopped. How many Longhorn fans have you seen complaining and bitching about us having to go to Oklahoma 2 years in a row to end the season? I haven't seen one. And just like you said, you're sitting over there saying, "Oh yeah, this is great."
Yep, I'm happy. Yeah, considering who we get at home, absolutely.
If it were flipped the other way, damn.
Yap's got one question here before we start talking about the games, and it's probably one that I'm not sure we can answer. But Ruger, talk about a dog. 5 2/3 inning, 1 earned run there. Going into a must-win game, not a must-win game, but as far as the players and the coaches talked, and just the way the baseball, you got to win on Sundays, and that's massive. Do you think that Sloss and Coach Max Weiner go back to Ruger Riojas after a masterful 5 2/3 innings?
Dude, this is hard, right? Because it's one of those things where you don't want to ruin a good thing, right? You kind of want to go back into the well, but at the same time, I don't know. Like this is a very versatile Texas team, and it's going to be. I think a lot of things got jumbled up in the midweek with us. We tried to secure a win versus UTSA, but I mean, man, it's just. I think more than anything, the way that I'm looking at this is we have another arm that we can trust to start.
Yeah.
Right. This is another guy. Now, the reason why I'm hesitant on saying that I don't know if he's going to be a starter is because, look, if we're sitting there with runners on second and third, and Jared Spencer's when we need to pull Jared Spencer out of the 7th inning, give me Ruger, right? Give me Ruger or Max Grubbs or even Dylan Volantis. But we have a lot of versatility that we can go with. But man, it's just. Ruger is a very, very good arm in some high-pressure situations, and I don't want to take that away from him. Right. Now, if I can get a start out of him, I'm going to take that every day. I will. If he becomes a Sunday guy, I love that. Right? I'll be, but at the same time, that's going to make Jared. You only see Jared Spencer once a week. You only see Luke Harrison once a week. If he becomes a Sunday guy, you're only going to see Ruger once a week.
Right.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a situational type thing where in this weekend it worked out because Ruger was available to start this game, and it's a game where he is probably more valuable as a starter than a reliever just for the sake that he can help you build a lead. There's no guarantee that you even have a lead on a Sunday if you don't start Ruger, and so this way you for sure get to use him and get a lot out of him. And luckily, it worked out to where he went long, and that way we're able to save a little of the bullpen. He gets to build confidence. And so, but yeah, as we continue to get into baseball, we'll see who they trust to go on Sundays. Nash, you have something about LSU that you want to share?
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever had more confidence going into a game than today. Y'all can go and look on my Twitter. I just retweeted it recently. LSU did the stupidest thing that you could have ever done. They wore white pants on the road. Anybody that knows baseball, that is like a cardinal sin that you just don't break. Like you just like this is Bush League, right? The baseball gods were on our side. We weren't losing that all today. Like it's literally somebody points out to me, and I'm out there in right field. Somebody points out, and I'm like, oh, we won. We won. Like if we're in Vegas, I'd have put like $500 on the Texas money line right then and there, because I think you were texting me earlier, Cord. This is like LSU was heavy favorites.
Yep. Yeah, if you would have done that, you'd have bet 500, profited 800. So that'd have been a solid little Sunday fun day for you.
Would have been a great gift from the baseball gods. So hope somebody took advantage of that.
Yeah, we were talking a little about the white pants, and I like the uniform matchup between Texas and LSU. But as far as you said on Sundays, I thought it was a little off. And you don't mess with the baseball gods, man. They're not one to mess with. It's a funny game. Texas early in that game had a bunch of base hits, just finding holes there early before things really kind of opened up. But yeah, I mean, you talk about what it means for Texas baseball, 5-1 in the SEC. You have a trip to Starkville and LSU out of the way, not the trip to LSU, but LSU. Point is, you have those two series out of the way early on. Nash just rattled off a lot of the opponents we have remaining. Some tough baseball in there, but you've already set yourself up to finish pretty dang high in conference play if you could continue to get better or just play the way that you have. Yeah, Nash rattled everybody off. But yeah, I hope that's what you're talking about. I don't know what dead named means, but
I think it might have something to do with the white. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm tired. It's late. I'm probably missing an easy joke there, but
it's over my head too. I don't know if Gage is over there just laughing at us.
I know. Yeah. I think I know what he's talking about.
Gage, you're a lot younger.
He's just laughing at us. He's laughing on the radio.
Yeah. Galvan's been a stud, man. Talk about the hottest bat in baseball, man. That guy sees baseball. He hits baseball normally really damn hard. And
forget about the hitting, man. I'm being dead serious. I do not think that because they count stolen bases sometimes, like if there's a pass ball or a wild pitch, sometimes that'll get counted. A stolen base will get counted against but there's no throw. It's not a contested stolen base, right?
Right.
As far as contested stolen bases go, I don't think Ryland's had a single person successfully steal a base, and which is a massive also boost to you go to the other side, because catchers get blamed for this all the time, right? You don't throw the guy out. Oh, well, let's point to the catcher. Well, sometimes it's the pitcher taking 2 days and a fortnight to get to the plate, right?
Yeah.
Well, now you have guys like it is I've heard there's a very strict rule and kind of almost time limit that you have to get you that is what it was. But but I mean that's already been out there. But nevertheless, but so basically there's a strict time limit for players to get to the plate, and that has you see that on the other end with Ryland Galvan. He's out there just nailing guys left and right. If you run on Ryland Galvan, you're stupid at this point. You're either really fast like David Hamilton, or you're just stupid.
Yeah,
David Hamilton was a blur. Yeah, I'm sorry, Josh.
Screw scooters. I hate scooters. Oh my god.
They
robbed us of David's best year.
We're good, man. I'm sorry, I'm slow. Yeah, everybody, you can call me Cord. It's true. Everybody can call me that. It's on the table. I don't love my name. Ghost is cool too, so whatever's fine. I mean, it's really cool, man, because not long ago, Ryland was getting a lot of heat from Texas fans, and there were people that were calling for another catcher, and that Shoss needed to bring in somebody else when he came over. And now look at what that guy's doing. I mean, he's got to be the hottest hitter in college baseball. I mean, he's hitting 400 over his last 23 plate appearances.
4 out of the last 5 games.
You know what? I will go through and I'll find that out for you.
Yeah.
I'll try and find that out.
He's got me.
I mean, it's just also like too. As far as guys that love Texas baseball, like he's one of like he is a. I'll just leave it at this. He is a massive reason why the team is looking the way that they are.
Agreed.
Yeah, you can tell he's a leader, man.
Yeah.
And just like, we watch the football team and you see some leaders that maybe weren't anticipated to be leaders kind of materialize throughout the season. I mean, that's just another guy who's immediately just won over the admiration of Texas baseball fans. I mean, everyone adores him at the moment.
Yeah.
And if you were to say, hey, who would you want at the plate in this moment right now? 95, I feel like 90+% of Texas fans are going to be like, well, it's Ryland. That dude, he's carrying around a stick that is made of flames. I mean, everything comes off the center of the barrel.
He's got a trampoline on the damn bat.
Yeah, and it's a blast to watch, man. And so, to see the thing is that it's not just like Texas is doing it just with the long ball. They're stringing hits together. They're finding holes. They're finding gaps. They're running really smart on the base pass. And then, of course, they're still capable of absolutely bombing one the way that Max Bellew did today. I think Nash said he hit it to McCombs. Some of the balls that Texas put over the center or put over the fence this weekend were just tatted. I mean, absolutely murdered.
That one, Jalen Flores. I mean, the dude didn't even turn around.
No, I mean, like as far as I've seen a few home runs in my time at the Dish now. As far as no doubt home runs go, right? Like that one was up there in the top 10 for sure. Yeah. Like with Ivan Melendez and the best of the Casey Borbas bombs, because I mean, that thing was at such a high launch angle, and that thing flew 401 feet. Like you said, the guy literally just.
Yeah, yep. I mean, he just didn't even move. I was like, that's pretty rare at the Dish to just the fielder to just not move.
When that happened, my jaw dropped.
Yeah,
I was like, there's sometimes that you just see special stuff, and that was one of them, man.
And what Bellew was 403 feet, the one he hit today to right field.
Yeah,
absolute missile. I mean, my favorite thing about this
straight inside fastballs, and then that last one he just said, "Come on."
My favorite thing about this team is how they respond.
Yeah.
Game one, I mean, it kind of got away from us, but we still found a way to respond in the 7th inning, and we made it a 4-2 ball game. And then things got out of hand in the 8th for LSU, and then it was kind of like you could even see Coach Sloss. This is no disrespect to Cody Howard. I love Cody Howard, right?
Yeah.
But you could see when he's not going to a guy like a Ruger Riojas, or he's not going to a guy like a Volantis. Yeah, we're just trying to not punt the game, right? But we're not gonna, we'll save the kitchen sink. We'll save as many things as we can.
Right.
You look at this, like LSU scores. On Saturday, they scored 2 runs in the 2nd inning. Texas scores 2 runs. LSU scores 3 runs in the 5th inning. Texas scores 4 runs. 2 runs in the 6th inning. Texas 2 runs in the 7th inning, and then we get 3 more runs in the 8th inning. And then today, same thing. Texas really kind of jumped out on front, but whenever LSU actually did get something on the board, we responded with some runs of our own.
Yeah.
Right. I really love how this Texas team goes out there and they are truly one of these teams that if you have to get all 27 outs on this Texas team because they will fight and they will, if you let them come back up, they will get it back up and they will kill you.
I think going back to Friday night, and I said it too, LSU was pretty much straight up mocking us at that point. That's kind of where that game was wearing goggles in the dugout. I know you were at the game, but they were showing this guy doing goggles in the dugout, mocking our celebration.
They mocked that shit. Right. Oh my god! I knew when that happened. Because here's the deal: this Texas team, dugout. I
think they took that super personal.
I can tell you 100%. I have some information.
You're straight up dogging them, and I said it on Twitter. I said Friday night you're dogging us, you're mocking us, and you're acting like you just put us in the dirt and you own us. And by Sunday night, your head's spinning and half your fan base is trying to fire your coach. So I think that's what this Texas team did. That was incredible. I mean, even going down 5-2, you were talking about on Saturday, you go down 5-2 and it's just oh man, this LSU team's good. And I mean, even I started folding a little bit. I was like, I don't know, bro. And then you have that inning, that 5th inning come up where in the Galvan home run was just okay, this team's got the juice. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, I texted Ghost at night. I was just like, I think if it proves anything, is like, one, me don't overreact, which is impossible during Texas baseball. But I also just think that this team does have the juice, right? Like, this is the first time we've really seen them pressed against a really good baseball team, and they came back and smacked them in the face.
I
And
mean,
I think that LSU team felt a little dejected Sunday after the game ended. They were like, man, that team's really good over there, and maybe we should have chilled out a little bit Friday night when we won that game.
I was told pregame that this Texas team is like they are wide awake and
Yeah.
they were ready coming into today. Like walking up to the stadium, I heard somebody that I trust, and I mean, man, it's just this was such a badass victory for Texas. Like he said, I mean, they like them punking us, right?
Yeah.
Like this is one of the things, like because I like that our guys were offended by it.
Yeah. They should have been.
Yeah.
It made me mad. So
yeah, and like when you get offended, you start caring about things, and you put just that, like it's almost like what you said about Royal Ivy. It's the cliche thing, right? But that's where the 110% comes out, right?
Right.
And I'll say this to what Gaddis is saying, man. Yeah, Farmer, he's making some damn good defensive plays out there.
yeah,
This is
incredible.
this is one of, if not the best outfield in college baseball. For like just like you saw Max Ballou single-handedly kept a run off the board for LSU today by. It's such a great example of how they always tell the kids like throw through the cutoff, right? He threw through the cutoff, and that allowed for the runner around third base to go, oh shit, nope.
He fell down, had to go back. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Right.
because he fell down because he had to put on the brakes. He was like, oh damn, that ball's a missile line drive, and I'm out. I'm
You
dead
see
out.
even going back to last weekend, you see the two Mississippi State games. What saves us in two of those games? The Tommy John play.
Until like
The second game on Sunday was
they never give up on a play.
Yep. The second game that Sunday afternoon was a play by Max.
Bad pickoff happens.
Bad pickoff, and Max hustled, and like how many times have we been able to see like that was an incredible play. Like all these different things that go into baseball games. Yes, we love home runs. Yes, we love this stuff. Backing up a pickoff play that goes wild, and being able to save a run there saved that game and saved our sweep. And
I mean,
so,
Right.
it's just the effort too. Like you said, like on that play too. If you notice, Kimball Schuessler, he actually almost beats out Max Ballou to get to the ball, right? Like it's not like Kimball misses the ball and I'm gonna lollygag over there because I'm feeling sorry for myself and the run's already scored. No, I'm giving it 110% getting over there to the ball. And then also you look at earlier today. This is one of my favorite plays from the day that almost kind of like gets like lost in the shuffle of everything. Will Gasparino hits the ball and he's kind of muffed off a glove, and he recognizes that the second baseman isn't even standing near the bag, right? Yeah. Shortstop's well off in no man's land trying to go for the ball that went off the third baseman's glove, and then all of a sudden, here's Will Gasparino without even taking not even hesitating. He rounds as if the ball was hitting the gap.
Yeah.
And he goes and he takes second base, and then that little bit of not hesitating is the difference between being out and being safe. And then this is also where you would like to see some other things happen. But I mean, man, I like also to another point, this 2021 team, this is at 2021, we had already seen 6 losses at this point.
Yeah.
Like you can directly point to, honestly, the only game that we really, really got the shit beat out of us, for lack of better words, and we actually like straight up lost, was LSU. You can make a legit argument that UTSA, if we do one or two things here, we win that game. You can make an argument if Louisville, who we're down 1-2, or we're up 1-2 on, with 1 out left to go, if we get that last out, right?
Yeah.
We just get a fly ball or a ground ball or something, right? We win that game. Yeah. Same with UTSA. If Borba doesn't make a bad throw, we win that game, right? Then we're sitting there with only real 1 loss.
Yeah.
And it just, man, this is this is a really special season that we're getting to watch.
And going back to defense too, I brought this up earlier. Like the middle infield is unreal defensively. Kimball's doing an unreal job at first base, and Adrian had a couple of plays in the Saturday game where it was kind of like, dang, dude, that sucks. And he came back today
Bounce
and
back.
had a hell of a game. So there's no doubt in his defense. Obviously, that goes back to who's coaching him, right? You have a Gold Glover over there teaching these guys,
Yeah.
and they're unreal, man. And the infield, I love this middle infield. Like that, anytime a ball's hit in the middle infield, I'm like, we got a chance to make a play here, and they're making every play they can. I mean, and that
barehanded
coaching. No offense to David Pierce, no offense to any of his staff, but like all of these little things go into who the coaches are right now and the level of baseball they're playing right now, and it definitely feels different than it has in the past few years with the level of excitement and effort.
I'll say this, Gage, too. You can also tell how much Jalen Flores and Ethan Mendoza have gotten reps in.
Dude, yes.
You don't have
Good
that level of chemistry with those two guys without having just thousands and thousands of ground balls on reps. Because and it shows that they got Troy Tulowitzki out there, former one of the best shortstops we've ever got to see, coaching them. But I mean that barehanded flip today, they had that one had one earlier that was like that, the barehanded feed where just for Ethan Mendoza to just be able to catch it, and then also not like he's not doing an extra cock or anything like that. It's just I love this team. It's like you said, Kimball Schuster.
He's been unreal. A couple of picks.
Literally one of the biggest surprises of the team is his defense at first base. Like, you literally you'd be hard pressed to ask for better defense than we've gotten from Kimball Schuster, because there's been multiple times that there's balls that are just barely foul, and he is just barely like if it's a fair ball, Kimball Schuster is snagging this thing.
Yeah, and I think you just got to look back to first base. I can say like just from experience playing and watching baseball for my entire life, I think a lot of people can say this. Like elite defensive first baseman, people say it doesn't matter. Whatever, you just need somebody with a big stick over there. But an elite defensive first baseman takes your infield to a whole nother level, because there are going to be mistakes throughout a season, and if that guy can save you, like you're getting outs that you don't get, right? And so there's going to be times where you're trying to turn a double play and it's really fast, and you need to make a crazy pick, and your first baseman's making it, like, or balls down the first base line. So yeah, I love what Kimball's doing over there. I think it brings our level of defense even further up, and I think they're just going to get better. Like I think it's just going to continue to grow from here. So this is the bottom, I think, of what we're going to see with Jim Schlossnagle here, and I think that's the exciting part.
No, it's just as we get more talented
did Nash freeze?
Kids in, it's it's just going to continue to get better. But man, thing that I wanted to say on what you said with I just had a brain fart. Just give me a rundown of what you just said.
I was
talking Kimball.
Yeah.
There was something that specifically you said about Kimball. It was like actually.
Yeah.
Take your time. Take your time.
This comment. I want to go to this comment from Gaddis. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, like, and I'll say this straight up. If I'm having Rogan, my son, watch baseball, and I'm like, who do you want to play like? Ethan Mendoza. That's who you should. That dude, the way he plays baseball, man. I love the way Ethan Mendoza plays baseball. He's been huge for this baseball team. He stayed consistent throughout the season. He was coming up with the hits before Galvan got hot. He was coming up with a lot of big hits last weekend and before that. The way Ethan Mendoza carries himself, and as a second baseman, as a baseball player, as a Texas Longhorn, is something that he should be proud of. I think that his parents are very proud of him, and that's somebody that I would be like, hey, when my kids are growing up and learn how to play baseball, like Ethan Mendoza. You know what I'm saying? That's a type of guy that you want to see, and it's good to have players like that back in Texas.
Yeah, I just want to time a reminder for myself. But yeah, no, like it was just adding on to what you said. One of the like most this a common misconception is that you just want your big fat lazy guy playing first base,
Yeah,
right?
they can just hit home
That
runs.
is the last thing that you, in order of athleticism, it's usually center field and then first base. And the reason why is because the first baseman, the level, if you look at the range of duties that he has to like, he's got to cover a lot of ground. You gotta be set. You gotta be ready for a ground ball, right? And then on top of that, like you're playing off the bag. Like when you're talking about professional college baseball, you're playing like a third baseman almost.
Yeah,
You got to run and get to the bag, and you got to make sure that you have a target ready for your guy that's throwing the ball. And
yeah,
it's a matter of like you're willing to accept, hey, yeah, if we got a guy that can knock the absolute crap out of the ball and he's limited defense, you can mitigate it by putting him at first base and you can work things around, right?
yeah.
But you want, if you have the ability to, you want as athletic guy as first base as you
Yeah.
can.
Championship teams have good defensive first basemen. I mean, I know he hates Ghost hates the Astros, but going back to the Astros, just like over the last 7 years and the runs that they've been on, just going to MLB, the worst years that they've had have been the years that they've had the worst defense at first base. That's the ones that they've struggled the most in the postseason. And so and it relates back to ball lower than that. College is the same way. Like if you have good defensive first baseman, your infield is going to automatically be better, and that's going to help you win championships.
No, absolutely. I mean, defense takes a lot of the pressure off the pitching staff. Obviously, you want to trust the guys that you have behind you. You know, you want to throw
Yeah,
to spots and throw to contact. And when you're doing that, and you're letting your stuff work, and the defense behind you play, and everything, that's how the game's supposed to be. So it goes a long ways. And then what happens when defense and pitching's good? I mean, it frees up your offense to take clean, healthy at bats, and you don't
right.
feel like you have to get up there and overcompensate for a staff that's giving up a lot of hits and a lot of runs. And so, I mean, overall, like it's, I thought, 2 out of 3. I'll admit on this channel the other night, I took LSU to win 2 out of 3. Gage took us to win 2 out of 3. Happy to be wrong.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to be eating five
happy
honey
you're wrong
buns.
too.
I'm supposed to be eating 5 honey buns on this show because I lost a wager for the Texas Xavier game, but they're way in the other room, so I might just do that on the next one.
Yeah,
Um,
we got a little bit more time to talk a little bit, like 10 minutes, maybe.
I'm sure we can do like 10 more minutes,
Okay, so one,
but
I want to talk to Yap's comment on Will. Um, he took some really good hacks this weekend, and he had better at bats. I think that's the important part. I think a lot of people over the last 2 nights, the last 2 games, the at bats that we had were phenomenally better, and it put us in much better hitting situations. I think both of the Flores home run Saturday night and the Ryland home run were both 3-1 counts, if I remember correctly, where they got center cut fastballs on 3-1 where you knew it was coming. So I think Will took better hacks, and I think that he was more patient in the box, and I think they've learned how to pitch him a little bit, and I think it's going to take time. But I agree, taking the next step for this team, like Will Gasparino is going to have to take that step, and I think he will. Like the talent's there. Like there's no doubt in my mind, like how talented the guy is, and that ball he smoked Saturday night. I mean, he hit that ball. That was a rocket to center field. So I do think that that's going to be a lot better. And then I just wanted to talk about the at bats period. Like Friday night, I think now the credit to LSU pitching staff was phenomenal. Cade Anderson, right? Is that his name? Cade
Yeah.
Anderson was a starter.
Kate Anderson on Friday night.
That
Yeah.
Barrett is going to be a top 10 pick in the MLB draft. Like, dude, just
Yeah.
filled the strike zone. He was unreal, bro. If he continues to pitch like that, he's going to be a high draft pick. And we got behind in counts. We had a lot of bad at bats, I think. But credit to him, like I said, that second game, like I said, every time you see these guys that are coming through and getting these big hits, big home runs, they're in great counts. And sometimes, they're in 2 strike counts too. And I think that just goes to kind of the rhythm that they got into. But it starts with good at bats, and I think that's a huge thing for Schloss and this team is good at bats. And then you saw it Saturday and Sunday. They put a ton of pitches and a ton of stress on the starting pitchers and a ton of stress on the bullpen because they were like, these guys aren't going to give us anything. We have to throw strikes. And it put us in good positions to get good swings off.
I hate to correct you on one. Just because everything that you said was awesome.
Yeah.
And dead on. But the only thing is that there was only 1-3-1 count with the home run. But outside of that, it's been 2-strike counts.
Yeah.
And I think that we've had a lot of 2-strike home runs this year. Yeah. And I think that you're going to see a lot of 2-strike home runs. Like this is a point that an emphasis that Jim Schlossnagle really wants this team to do is to see pitches. Like, it's almost like they're going up there and taking the first strike, right?
Yeah.
And man, I absolutely I love the mentality of patience at the plate, right? Because like you can tell that because they thought they had a lot of thought in the way David Pierce went, like hey, they had an at bat, then they go and they grade their at bat on the board, right? And they start to, they break down. There was a lot of thought in their at bats back then, but it's more like almost like guided with the coaches. You have professionals telling you, hey, you might be on something right here, but let's push you down this path, right? So because you have a lot of talent, a guy like Will Gasparino, the more pitches he sees, the better. Like I know he has a 241 batting average, but also he's on a 5-game hit streak. Yeah. He also, when he hits the ball, good things happen. Like the ball flies. It either most of his hits are either a home run, double, or a triple.
Yeah.
And when it does,
way too high for somebody with an average as low as his is.
When it does click, man, college baseball's screwed.
Yeah, and it's going to he's just too talented. It's just people figured out how to pitch him. He's uber aggressive, and he just needs to relax, and he'll be fine. I'm really confident Gasparino's going to come around, and he's going to really elevate this team.
Yeah.
13. Well, I mean, if you're going to say anything about Will Gasparino, it's like he is one of the only guys that's on a cold stretch. It could be a hell of a lot worse. It's part of baseball. Your whole damn team could be on a cold stretch, like over in College Station, where they're not. They're working really damn hard to score a single run, and we're talking about one particular player in our lineup,
right?
Who's struggling. So the team is going to naturally will make Gaspy a little bit better because he's going to see good pitches because almost everyone in the lineup is protected. I mean, everybody is. Tommy Farmer today, one of the better days as far as approach at the baseball play or at the plate. I mean, he had a big hit, and I know one of them went off of the third base. We'll call that strategic swinging there. He drew it up that way exactly. But go ahead, Nash. Sorry to cut you off. I started talking right when you were talking. I'm pretty sure. But anyways,
yeah, you're dead on with Tommy Farmer though.
Yeah, no, that's
that defense, man. I just, man, his ability to run out, like he's basically our second center fielder. So I don't know, like to have that much speed out there between him and Will Gasparino, like it's, and also Will Gasparino, man, I love Will. Like his defense out there in center field. If you get a hit, you earn that shit.
Yeah, he covers ground.
He does, and he has a lot of ground to cover at the dish.
Like a giraffe and a gazelle combined.
Well, anything else, guys? So y'all want to touch on, bring up before we get out of here? Can be anything.
Just want to again profess my love for Ethan Mendoza and thank you for coming back to Texas. And I love that you hate the Aggies just as much as we do.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a guy that literally denied Jim Schlossnagle, said, hey, man, love you. Don't love the school that you're at. Going to go to Arizona State. Then when Jim Schlossnagle goes to Texas, he's like, Jim, love you, baby.
Yeah.
And you know what, Ethan? We love you too.
Shout out, Ethan. Shout out, Robert. Active on Twitter.
Robert's one of my favorite people on
Twitter. Yeah, and so I mean that's the thing, man. You could talk forever about every single player that has shown up so far this year. They've all contributed.
Just
Everybody
show on
played a
every
part
one of
in
them.
this series. You really can, and that's the state of a very damn healthy program. And what else does it sound like? It sounds like us on our pregame and postgame shows last fall talking about Coach Sarkisian's Texas football team. And so one day maybe we can do that with Sean Miller and Texas basketball. We'll see. But until then, remember tomorrow the college basketball transfer portal window opens up. Sean Miller probably pretty active for the Longhorns. We'll see what progresses with that. But until then, Texas baseball 5-1 in SEC play. Top right, Nash Talks Texas. Y'all know him. Check out his channel. Like, subscribe, all his stuff. Do that here as well. Gage Sheets. Thank you guys for being here. Thank y'all for talking Texas baseball and giving some thoughts on Sean Miller. Until next time, we'll see y'all then. Also, hook 'em horns. We'll give you the Matthew McConaughey, the backwards hook 'em. Have a good night, guys.